Good morning, Brian with Grand Roofing, bringing you along on a quick leak inspection, and there's some things we can learn from this. There's typically three kinds of leaks that I find. One, it's either a new installed roof or a repair that was done and it was just done bad, and it typically leaks right away. So if it's a new roof and you have a leak right away, it's probably something done wrong with flashing, pipe flashing, chimney flashing, penetration wall, something of that nature. Reason two, storms, wind damage, trees blowing down, busting holes in the roof. And three, which is the most common, and typically they occur about 7 to 14 years after the roof was installed. And it's nail placement, nail placement, nail placement. I cannot stress that enough. If you look around this roof, this looks pretty good here. Nothing really bad, but there's some things we can learn when it comes to valleys, close cut valleys, and what you need to do, a couple things with them. Nail placement, nail placement, nail placement, and pattern. I mean, it's really simple. Most people that install a roof, it's going to look good, but you want it to last. You want it to last the life of the install, not just past that contractor's warranty, because these leaks don't show up right away. Aside of the wind damage, storm damage, tree damage, and bad install, well, really bad install, flashing like I just said, or a bad install with nail placement pattern, those typically occur kind of that sweet spot of 7 to 14 years, right after most people's warranty. So let's see what we can learn with nail placement. First on ridge cap and what blew off over here. So let's just start here and look at this. I already kind of fixed it real quick. These discolored wet ones right here and that one right there, that's what I put back. Looking at some other stuff here, some people have repaired this with a smaller ridge cap than what was installed. They did a really bad repair. They didn't flat bar out to remove this old broken piece. They just shoved one in there, face nailed it, called it good. I mean, it's just bad quality of install. Somebody wanting in and out. But let's talk about nail placement first with hip and ridge. So hip and ridge, you got the piece here. Imagine this one gone. You're going to have a nail strip right through here, a seal strip of tar of some sort. You want to make sure those are near that seal strip and near the outer edge, not down so low you're seeing the nail underneath. But let's talk about first this area here. You got wind hitting this and it starts lifting and tugging. This is just me gently doing this. I mean, not a lot of force. So let's talk about force. Leverage. If you're new and you've never heard of leverage, just Google or Wikipedia leverage. It's really simple. You know, where something is fastened right here and you're lifting right here, you're lifting against that fastener. If you put your nail up here, farther in and up, now you got something called leverage, just lifting and tugging on that, and I guarantee over time it's going to pop off. That's what's happening with all this ridge cap here. So this, why you want to get it near that strip is when it is fastened right there, this shingle that you're visible is sealed down to it. It is stuck on a solid fastened piece of shingle cap, and then it's also covered so your nails aren't going to be an issue. When you start pulling those in and up because they're lazy fast and pop, 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 just getting done, you get this. Their fasteners are way the heck up here. You're also going to have an opening in here for the heat to come through and go through your ridge vent, which this is Cobra. I'm not a fan of this stuff. It's just a bad all around. Let's talk one other quick tip on ridge cap. So wherever you live, whatever part of the world and country, you've got prevailing winds. In our area, the prevailing winds come out of this. The majority of the time out of the southwest. The way you will run these is in a certain direction. So the prevailing winds go across this and it's smooth. You run this backwards, the wind catches this, it starts tugging on those. So you want to make sure, in my area, we always try to go north to south, east to west. This one is backwards, so the prevailing winds are catching every one of those. Let's jump up at that, look at that real quick. More face nails, more repaired ridge cap. You can tell because this is a smaller size than all that. Somebody had face nailed the crap out of that. This is Ico shingle. They're pretty much, I guess it could be like CRC or something, but they're pretty much vertical. They got tearing going on a lot of these too. This is a different ridge cap too, so I don't know if this is added on or I have no idea. Maybe they had enough damage they had repaired already once. But nail placement, flipping this around, easily be avoided. Nail placement on shingles too. Let's talk real quick while it's dry and I can kneel right here. This shingle we're looking at right here, imagine this one's not up here. There's a seal strip on the top if it's top seal, or under this one if it's bottom seal. Whatever shingle you're fastening, say this one, you want to shoot in the common bond for several reasons. Where that is fastened and the seal strip and the next one comes down is going to be stuck down. You're not going to get some leverage effect. So you shoot too high because they're pop, 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 just getting done. That seal strip happens, the wind tugging on this, even though it's sealed, is lifting the shingle below because there's now this leverage, this little fulcrum Over time, it'll pop it out of that mat, leading to trouble. Also, it doesn't get a good chance to seal and bond because it's constantly moving. So you want to make sure it's there. The other big reason is, especially if on a steeper roof, a mansard face, you want to hit that common bond. If you do not and you nail too high, typically what I see, this shim, this wedge of the laminate on a hot summer day, prolonged period of hot summer days, will heat up and just slide out due to gravity tugging on it. So to make sure that. Then there's one other concept, which is the keyway here. And you want to make sure the offsets are far enough and you don't have nails in your keyway. Let's go look at the valley. So down here, we got a pretty good sized valley. This is a closed cut valley. I'm not a fan of them. Some people like them, but let's learn what we can learn. Years back, manufacturers said, first, what is a closed cut valley? Closed cut valley, typically the lower sides, there's some variables, run across, watching certain things in your nail plate or your pattern. Then this side crosses over completely, you crack a line, you cut it. Two things you need to do with that, aside of the general making sure your keyways aren't near valleys and your nails aren't in the valley. You want to make sure we typically at the top mark just near the center of the valley or slightly on the higher side that we're going to cut and leave. And when we mark our line down, we would come out of the valley here a few inches, causing a trough.
This is the Bigger Pockets Podcast Show.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. For some reason YouTube just started playing in the background, shut the video off. So I'll have to mesh this back together. So I believe the last thing I said was we mark our line just out of the valley, causing a trough here for the water to run down and not be affected by these corners right here. You get these points in these shingles. So when you cut the valley, these points catch water, and what happens over time, the water's going to run down this top point here and come up under here over time due to water surface tension. And also keep in mind, if you get 1 inch of rain, 1 inch right here gets 1 inch of rain. But imagine that multiplied by the square area of inches on this roof. That's a lot of water now running this valley. So when it catches those points and works its way in, it gets around those nails, those galvanized nails over time, the coating wears out and will leak. The other issue we've got going on, back up because I don't think I even showed where the leak was. Just inside this egress door right here, right up at the top seal, there's the leak. So what we're looking for is, there's no obvious damage, no penetrations or punctures, so that's why we're looking for the nail placement. Talked about the cuts and the points, what you do. You make sure this valley is cut slightly out, causing a trough, and when you do cut it, you need to come back. Try to do this here. So you need to take these corners, get a hook blade carefully, cut these corners back at an angle, not cutting the shingle underneath. But what you're after is the water catches this point from the cut, because a lot of guys get in and out, they're all chasing volume, not quality, and it will trickle across this. If you look, there's all kinds of water, dirty, trail debris of, nastiness. Well, it's running in here. And then the fasteners to hold these shingles down, you got a keyway here, so you got nails in this area. And if they get close to this, the water's going to trickle across and get into those. Over time, it'll rust those out, and then it causes a hole for water to drip in. When you nip these corners, just dog ear them at a slight angle, what that does is now this is gone, so imagine the negative, which isn't here, is what we're looking at. If water comes down and hits this valley, it's going to hit this part of the shingle right here. Let me just show you. It's going to hit this right here. And instead of going and defying gravity and going up, for the most part, it's going to come down and work its way out down the valley. So there's a combination of things with the valley. I hope you can learn, I hope you follow what I'm talking about with cutting your line slightly out of the valley, keeping your close cut valleys, nipping them every step of the way, cut them all. These are right here. And then the other thing, your placement of your nails and your keyways. You want to make sure your keyways are staggered far enough and you don't have nails in the keyways like that. Right here's another one. Yeah, right here. So you're talking pretty close. You can see the water trail. You can see the difference in the look because we had rain last night and this morning. Comes in these keys, these keyways I call them. Book, zipper, I've heard them called a lot of things. Whatever your terminology is and wherever you live. Like a little pet peeve of mine, people comment, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know any terminology. I can tell you, when I was a little kid and I'd go see my family out on the East Coast, they're like, hey, do you want soda? I was like, what the hell's a soda? It's a Coke. And in my area, it's a Coke. And then you say, what kind of Coke you want? No, they're like, you want a soda? And then tell you the flavor. So terminology can vary. Sorry. But anyway, pet peeve of mine. So over time, these will rust out. And again, the time frame that I was referring to, typically after about 7 to 14 years or so, 5 to 15 years, that's when these leaks start occurring. So when you have no obvious damage to the roof is in that time frame, and the leaks you get are not like gusher ceiling droppers or anything. Well, I guess it would be if you had a hole in the valley, but it's typically where water slowly over time just runs across, eventually rusts this out, gets in there. Same if it's catching those points and running out, rusting those nails. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what to do, not to do, what to watch for. And let's go look at one other thing. Now I gotta get busy. I gotta cut all these tabs and seal those nails. Where I set my ladder up over here, there's a really good visual on what not to do. So as I stated, the amount of water running off of this roof on a given rain is multiplied by every square inch you got, or square centimeter, depending on where you live. This keyway right here, that's pretty close. I got wide angle on, switch lenses. I mean, that's not very far. So now what you got a nail real close to the keyway, you got a keyway close, and you can see the water kind of running off into that keyway right here. So this shingle keyway here and this offset is not far enough. You get these, they'll eventually rust out. The other big thing is water coming in on this right here. The shingle below, so this one, the headlap of it only goes about that high up typically. So water coming in anywhere from, say, about right here up is now solely dependent on not leaking because of your ice and water or synthetic paper. So quality of install. Quality. Oh, my hatchet. AJC, best hatchet on the market. Check them out. So where was I? Sorry, about to lose my gloves and my hatchet. Anyone can put a roof up. Anyone can make a roof look good. You don't want it to leak right away. You don't want it to leak just after they get, tail light out of your sight, and you don't want it to leak 5 years after, just as soon as their warranty expires. So, it's hot. It's muggy. Really humid out. I gotta get busy, guys. Sorry for the video being cut up because YouTube just some reason decided to start playing. Bigger Pocket, shout out to you. Until next time, be safe, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Hopefully you learned something from this one.